We had item 11 already. We're going to have item 12, comments from council members. Receive an oral report from Councilmember Irene O'Connell regarding regional agency projects and activities.
Thank you. I have a couple of slides that I thought it would make it easier to kind of focus on what we're doing, and I did this in alphabetical order. So I'm on 3 major regional boards. The first one is the Advanced Life Support Joint Powers Board Authority. I'm chair of that board. It has 18 members. They consist of different fire districts, cities, etc. It was originally formed in 1997, and it was to even out the response time that some cities were not experiencing good response time from their ambulance services, and the idea was to allow firefighters to become paramedics and be the first responders throughout the county. So that's what we do. Our current issue is consolidating, upgrading the communication equipment, and we have, over the last several years, budgeted capital improvement money for that, and we are going forward with it. When it was first devised, there was a lot of kind of mishing, I guess, of the different equipments throughout the county, and now we're separating it all out and making it very clear who owns what and who's responsible for what. So that's what that one does. The next one is the Bay Area Water Supply and Conservation Agency. It is a 26-member board. It consists of cities that operate their own water systems. California Water, where several of the cities get their water supply from them. Cities like Hayward, areas like Stanford University, all are part of this board. And it was originally conceived to force, actually, San Francisco to upgrade its Hetch Hetchy water system. It hadn't had any capital improvements done to it for many years, and it was not seismically safe. So that was what we did initially. We've grown a lot since then, and we take on other tasks related to water. One of the current things we're doing is figuring out, we've done several studies now, and figuring out how to develop drought-resistant water supplies, either by wheeling water through other agencies or desalination plants or things like that. So we will be coming to the cities with recommendations very shortly about what to do during drought times. Another thing we do is we increase conservation issues awareness, I should have said, and some of you have seen our posters out there that said, this is, don't. There's one, my favorite one from last year is a dog that it says, this is our dishwasher for this year. That's got his tongue hanging out. But anyway, those are some of the things we do with that. We also support legislature that helps regulate water systems, and we work closely with each of the cities in anything they need to do with conservation and drought issues. So the next is City County Association of Governments, CCAG. It's a 23-member board. It has 1 member from each city. There's 20 cities in San Mateo County. It has 1 member from the county itself, 1 member from the Transportation Authority, and 1 member from the Transportation Agency. So in that one, that was created in 1993, and it was to consolidate the cost of, at the time, each city was required to pay for a stormwater permit, and which was about, I think, $10,000 at the time. So each city would have had to pay the state $10,000 for obtaining this permit. Somebody thought that was totally ridiculous, and they formed this joint powers board. So we pay now $10,000 for a permit for the county. So it was a cost savings initially, plus we now do all these other things. We're also the congestion management group. We work on a lot of things dealing with transportation. Transportation money comes in from the federal government and the state government, and we are the pass-through to different agencies. We make grants and pass money on to Samtrans and Caltrain. among other things. As you can see, we deal with stormwater runoff, airport land use compatibility planning, and then the three committees listed under it are support committees for that. Legislative committee, which I'm also on, we make recommendations regarding current legislation and suggestions for future legislation. The next one, which is a huge one, Congestion Management and Environmental Quality Committee. It's an advisory committee to the whole of CCAG, but it has members in it who are not CCAG members. We have members of the public, members from the business community, and it is a 15-member committee. Anything that goes to CCAG that has to do with congestion management and the environment comes through us first, and then we make our recommendation to CCAG. So currently we are looking at something that is fascinating that will be talked about a long time in the future. Think about it. There was a seminar that we attended recently, and one of the issues was about the gas tax. And people typically, the studies show, do not know where the money comes from to repair your streets and roads. People had all sorts of ideas. They thought it was property tax, part of your income tax, all sorts of things. Not one person in this, I think it was about 200 people that they studied or asked the question of, not one person said gas tax. No matter how many times you fill your car up with gas, we don't pay much attention to it. So there's a gas tax. It goes to pay streets and roads, not just locally, but your state highways system. Because of the fuel efficiency of more and more cars and electric cars, the revenue produced from this gas tax has gone down dramatically. The cost of fixing the streets and roads has gone up equally dramatically. And there's your dilemma. So one of the things that has happened because of that is San Mateo County, we just learned yesterday, will no longer be getting $700 million it would have been getting through, it's called a STIP fund, because the state money that comes from the gas tax is no longer there. And they did not budget for that. So consequently, there are many projects in San Mateo County that were promised this money that will no longer be getting it. So it's going to be hurting several different city things. STIP stands for State Transportation Improvement Program funds. So that's huge. Next is our new stormwater permit requirements that I know Jimmy's over there nodding because they're going to be very difficult to enforce. They're looking for zero trash in our stormwater system by the year, I think it's 2020. That's going to be very difficult. That means anything that you see on the curb that goes out in the street that gets washed down our storm system, that's going to be a no-no. We can get fined up to $10,000 a day and all sorts of other things. So the Congestion Management Quality Committee will be making recommendations and bringing forward information about that. And the last one that we also just received a report about is the alternate fuel requirements and considerations for local government. It's a 200-page report that talks about the different policy issues that are going to be coming up because of the alternate fuel requirements that the state is putting on people. By 2030, there's half of the fuel you use is going to have to be from non-renewables. The other way around, from renewable sources. So electricity, hydrogen, hydro, all those different kinds of things. And we're going to have to be thinking about where do we put electric car chargers? What do we do about different kinds of stations that are not just gas stations anymore, and all those kinds of things. So one of the good things about this, we also learned yesterday, was the CCAG is going to be putting aside $500,000 in a grant process that the city can apply for, and part of that money is going to be used for, we are recommending to the CCAG that it be used for infrastructure for electric car chargers. So typically, installation can be up to $10,000. This would pay up to about half of it. So that's something really exciting and useful that we are doing. The last one is the Water Advisory Committee. This is a short-term, hopefully short-term advisory committee. This is a long involved thing, but we are looking at how to form or what to do exactly as a county to deal with issues that are bigger than our cities. For example, sea level rising, things having to do with water. Sea level rising is one, flood control is another, and stormwater runoff that crosses city boundaries is another. So we're looking at not how to solve those problems, but what mechanism, what methodology should we use to start solving them. So those are things. I put down on the bottom a website. It's called California Road Change. Oops, it should say pilot. Sorry about that. I spelled it wrong. Pilot.com. And I wanted to bring this up because of the decrease in the gas tasks, the state is looking for other ways to tax people to fix our roads. I mean, it's just the way it is. We have to have some mechanism to tax it. This is a pilot program. If you go to that website, but spell pilot correctly, you can volunteer to be part of this pilot program where you have a variety of choices. But basically what they're looking at is how to record how much mileage everyone uses. So if you typically drive 500 miles a month and record it, you would record it with the state, and they would figure out how much gas tax that would be, and how you could replace it. So say if you drive a hybrid car, how much gas tax you're not paying, and then would charge that piece to you. They wouldn't do it now. It's just a pilot to see how it would work and if it's possible at all. So anyway, it's a fascinating problem in some ways, and they're looking at different solutions. I don't know if Miriam, I don't know if you can see this, but this is the gas tax, how much they no longer collect, and how much the cost of repairing the same amount of roadage it does. So anyway, those are those. I left off the other three committees.
And you can take a breath now.
Thank you.
Thank
Do you have
very
any
much.
questions?
Any questions for Irene?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Busy. Item 13, we're going to go into closed session.
Through the
First
chair,
I'm sorry.
I had
Ken?
some comments also. I appreciate, I did ask for, and I believe colleague asked for an update on the temporary lighting up in the Crestmore, the street lights, and we received a lot of that. I just had a question, and if it could be stated, is Hamilton Avenue all dark? Because it looks like, I mean, I'm very pleased to see temporary lighting and the volunteer residents hooked up now, but it looks like there's one street that is still dark. Or actually, there's two streets. Charleston.
Well,
and
actually,
Hamilton.
Charleston, interestingly, Charleston, including the light that's actually on Crestmore at the intersection of Charleston and Crestmore, is on it's not on the RO circuit. So all three of those lights along Charleston are active,
Okay.
and they've never been out.
Okay. Probably the same with Hamilton.
I don't think so. Hamilton is dark. So staff will take another look at that. But otherwise, I'm happy to give a very quick update. We've distributed to the City Council, and we'll be posting, if we haven't already, the same map on our website to be able to illustrate what the state of lighting in the neighborhood, temporary lighting in the neighborhood is. In summary, we have successfully worked with 23 residents in the neighborhood to provide a direct connection from the streetlight via extension cord to an outlet at the residential property. There are 6 existing locations where solar LED temporary lighting has been installed. I would just say again, and we'll keep saying, these solar lights have not been entirely reliable. And so staff is continuing to watch those and to adjust them as necessary, but we continue to believe that there are considerations related to the contingencies of winter weather that don't provide a great deal of sunlight on some days. There are 6 additional locations signified by the green dots on the map that you have that are expected to be installed during the coming week. So with those considerations, along with 4 floodlights that are continuing to be deployed in the neighborhood, we have actually achieved pretty good temporary lighting coverage throughout the neighborhood. As the council member indicated, there are a couple of areas that we need to look at some more, but we're pleased with the progress that we've made so far to get, as I said, pretty good coverage throughout the neighborhood for temporary lighting. As to the permanent lighting solution, the staff has also been very busy negotiating with St. Francis Electric to achieve a reasonable and agreeable price for the permanent repair, which, according to the City Council's direction, is to replace the underground pole-to-pole wiring, which will result, when that project is completed, with all new components to the existing RO system, the regulated output system. That would include all new fixture heads, all new, probably not everything is new. The poles themselves are not new, actually, but they're not part of the circuitry. A new transformer that powers the system, new LED heads, and new in-pole wiring, which has already been completed. The only remaining piece of the system that hasn't been replaced, the circuit system, is the pole-to-pole underground wiring. Currently, staff informed me today that we've neared completion and are on the verge of being prepared to sign a contract with St. Francis Electric at $398,000. Is that right? So at this point, that is less than what we previously reported to you. We believe it's a more precise, accurate, and achievable cost. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. And on another utility issue, I'd like to also ask, a resident came up to me regarding the sewer lateral warranty, and I looked back at the minutes, and back in April of last year, when the sewer lateral program was adopted, that it states that a warranty program will be sponsored by the city. And it's my understanding that it has not been established yet, so I was hoping that we can get that out, because it also says that there be some outreach to the residents. And it's what I heard from this resident is that in Daly City, it is a very good program. And so we'd like, as much as I would like the city to pay for it, I think the warranty program is something that's very cost effective and serves its purpose for the residents. So if we can get that going. Thank you.
Through the chair. On November 24th, we had a council meeting, and under council comments, I brought up about establishing a one-time subcommittee to look at employee acknowledgement and recognition. Mr. Mayor, you were not here, and Mr. Medina, you were not on the council at that time. So I wanted to bring it, it's been a couple months, and I know the holidays were busy, but in our new year, I wanted to bring that back forward for council consideration to have that subcommittee appointed, to have that reviewed so we could look at, and come with a plan and guidelines for each department throughout the city to acknowledge our staff. So I'm asking if there's council interest for that.
I think there is. Are you interested in being on that committee?
I am.
Marty? Sure. Okay, got our committee.
Well, at least you can't mess up the last names.
The two Medinas. It's going to be done right. Okay, fine. Anything else? Any other comments from council members?